The Daytona 500 saw an historic maiden win for Denny Hamlin and Toyota in the closest ever finish at NASCAR's season opener. Now the series sets out on a 9-month tour of the US with a new set of regulations to spice up the action. Chief amongst these are changes to the aerodynamics with a reduced radiator pan, narrower splitter and a shorter spoiler on the rear to create lower downforce.
When you look at the change in the rules, we had 2 races last year that we ran with low downforce, so it kind of gave everybody a path that they thought they needed to work down. It's definitely going to be more fun because the cars move around a lot more. They're definitely harder to drive. In the 2 races that we saw last year, there was definitely more passing. There was a lot of cars that were qualifying well, running fast at the beginning of the runs, but didn't handle well throughout the run, so there was a lot more things to take in than there has been in the past.
The downforce being less will help us to slide around a little bit more and hopefully ultimately become a little less aero dependent, just because we have less overall and we can use more lanes on the track because our speed is slower in the corner. When we're so fast, it's like threading a needle. You have to run the perfect line in order to achieve the lap time you need to. And also going that fast, if you're a little offline, it can be extremely detrimental to the lap and in some cases make you crash. So less downforce is going to be a lot more work behind the wheel, but hopefully it will result in a lot more passing, which comes from a lot more lanes being used.
The idea is that Goodyear can provide softer tyres to create more wear and more strategy calls than have been evident in recent years.
We need to drop the corner speed so that the tires can be softer so that they have a good and a bad period. When the tire's really hard, it just is the same the whole time. And when there's no reason to pit for tires with 10 to go or 5 to go or a green-white checkered, then it tends to not make the racing as exciting.
Everybody wants to see the tires degrade faster than what they have in the past, so that cars slide around more and you're hopefully not making it to the end of a fuel run before the tires wear out. So that's going to be a little bit of a moving target as well as we go through the first half of the year, just because everybody's really not 100% sure how much the tires are going to wear out, and there's a lot of unknowns that go with that.
Other changes include improved safety features, but the most noticeable upgrade will be the new mandatory digital dashboard, which was trialled by Patrick and Harvick's teammate Kurt Busch in 2015.
We have a new dash panel that has, I think, 28 channels of information that we can collect off the race car. So we have the tire pressures that are live on the dash now, we have our lap time, where our track bar is. We'll have other pages that have different information that we can look at during practice throughout the weekend, but when it comes time for the race, you pretty much have to deal with what you have for a setup in the car. There's not a lot of adjustments that are going to make a huge difference on the car. You can change things quite a bit, but the things that you would do in practice are not going to be what you can do in a race. It's pretty much going to be air pressure, spring rubbers in and out of the rear, track bar up and down, and wedge in or out of the back of the car, and that's about it.
The tachometer or rev counter is especially crucial as it's used to gauge speed and gear selection, but Patrick fears she may be left running blind by the new digital technology.
I worry about, take your computer for instance. Sometimes it just doesn't want to work and you're like, I just got to reboot. Well, that's going to happen with the tach. But you're on track and you need to know what your gauges say. You need to know what your pit lane speed is. If that tach fails, we lose everything. When a gauge would fail in the old configuration, it was just one gauge. Like, I've lost my tach a couple of times, and then I use oil pressure to go down pit lane because I went down pit lane with other cars one time and I was like, oh yeah, it was right about there. So then I try and achieve that number after that. When all the gauges go though, it could cause some problems, but times do change, and I think they're just trying to keep up with the digital age that we are really in now.
The next few months will reveal whether NASCAR have got it right, but the hope is that the racing in 2016 will be better than ever.
The cars will definitely be more difficult to control and have a much smaller window of when they're going to spin out or get sideways or the handling is going to go bad. There's a lot of new things that you have to take in and try to wrap your arms around early in the season to hopefully have the performance of the car where it needs to be. Click to subscribe to Mobil One The Grid YouTube with more great exclusive motorsports videos. Thanks for watching.